Did you know the history of Alcatraz? Now a historic and popular landmark in San Francisco, Alcatraz has a fascinating history. In 1775, the island, located 2 kilometers from the shore of San Francisco, was named Alcatraz, which is the Spanish word for pelican. It was likely given this name due to the seabirds that inhabited the island. When California became a state, the US government recognized the significance of the island and immediately went about building a military fortification there. During the Civil War, the island was used to house Confederate sympathizers and prisoners of war, and eventually became a military prison for those that violated military law. In 1934, the US government transformed it from a military prison to a federal penitentiary. This decision was made due to how isolated the island was, surrounded by frigid waters. It was deemed inescapable. At this time, famous criminals such as Al Capone and George Machine Gun Kelly were housed at the famous island. Al Capone was actually only held there due to tax evasion, but due to his many connections was deemed too dangerous for any other prison. Alcatraz was known for its harsh conditions, tight security, and strict rules. It was considered the end line for criminals. Many people tried to escape, but none were successful. However, in 1962, Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin successfully escaped the prison by digging through their prison walls, using dummy masks to fool guards, and using a homemade raft from raincoats to brave the waters. The trio have never been recaptured, and it is often debated if they survived or not. In 1963, the cost of the prison was deemed too expensive to upkeep, and the criminals were all transferred. The National Park Service took over the ownership of the island in 1964. In 1969, a group of Native American occupants took over the island for 19 months, demanding it be returned to the Indigenous people. This was based off an 1868 treaty that said surplus government land should be returned to the Indigenous community. The group wanted to make the island a cultural and educational center for Native Americans and hoped to use the protest to bring attention to the poor living conditions of the Native American population in America. On June 11, 1971, the federal authorities forcibly removed the occupants from the island. Although they did not reclaim the island, the occupation did lead to policy changes regarding Indigenous rights in the United States. In 1972, the island was deemed a National Historic Site and began public tours in 1973. Today, it costs about $50 US to tour the island, and it's a 15-minute boat ride with the recommendation to book at least 3 weeks in advance. It is now one of the most visited places in the United States with millions of visitors a year and an icon of the San Francisco Bay. So now, you know a little bit about the history of Alcatraz.